Hello, welcome to Podfic Galore. I'm your horrible online reader, Goldskythe. I read out loud fanfictions for you busybees, free of charge and no strings attached. Today I will continue reading a Naruto Alternate Universe fic by MisatosPenpen and PhoenixInnocence from an archive of our own called Scars. Note, this fic is rated explicit. I hope you can at least try to enjoy my voice, and I will try my best for you with the equipment available to me. On with the show. Scars by MisatosPenpen and PhoenixInnocence, Chapter 4. Sunday, November 8th. Morning came late for Sasuke that Sunday. Deidara had been up for hours, but he thought she had a nap in the morning after tidying up, and Sasuke didn't wake up until a little after noon. Itachi was still a little freaked out about being attacked, so the brothers just spent the day talking, going into more detail about their lives. And yet, Itachi felt Sasuke was purposely not talking about his personal life. He only talked about school, the academy, and work. They didn't get back to the case until dinner. "So, what's our next move?" Deidara asked as he put food on the table for them to serve themselves. "Well, we have two objectives now. Find our family's murderer, and who's trying to kill us," Sasuke said. "Since they were waiting at our former townhouse, which is now in my name, it's obvious they're there for us, not Deidara." "Baby Uchiha, you actually thought for a moment they would be coming for me? I'm hurt." "You're a loony." "Those two objectives might end up being the same," Itachi said, ignoring the childish exchange. "Father." "Indeed," Sasuke agreed. "If he believed you were back, and we were looking into him as a suspect, then he might try to finish what he started with the rest of our family. But then that brings up another question. How would he know you're back and we're working together? How would anyone?" "You've fallen off the grid," Deidara pointed out. "But only 3, maybe 5 people know that. All are members of the Bureau." "Not a very big social circle, baby Uchiha." "Shut up!" "How could someone know about me?" Itachi asked. "I've hardly been out of the house." "Maybe they're just after me," Sasuke said. "But why now, and why would they stake out the townhouse? I never go there. My home would be where to find me." He wondered if Kakashi was in danger, since that's the other place he'd like them to be. Sasuke scrubbed his scalp with his hands. "Maybe it's just me. I've made a few suspects angry over the years." "But why the townhouse?" Itachi asked. "I really don't know. It's in my name, though." "You've checked to see if there was anything about the shooting on the web?" Itachi asked his brother. "Nothing. I only took 2 shots and a hitman's gun and was silenced. It was also daytime, and the sound might have been lost in day-to-day noises or shrugged off as backfires or something. If there was no one home in the townhouses that adjoin that alley, then it's less likely it would be reported. An officer might have driven by, but that guy was systematic. He had to be smart enough to shut and lock the door." "Maybe it's time to talk to the FBI. Your partner, at least. Go back and investigate the attempt on your life. I don't have to enter into it. And you'll be safer among your people. I'll lay low here and do what I can to find something to go on." Sasuke shook his head. "If those hitmen are after you, then the Bureau will know you're in town and look for you. I'm no actor. I couldn't fake enthusiasm to find you that long, and certain people will notice the change. I'll stay mission in action for a while." "Baby Uchiha, they will look for you," Deidara said. "You're a valuable FBI agent. You go missing any longer and they will open an investigation." "That's likely happened already. I'd rather stay missing and stay close to Itachi than go back with my hat in my hand and nothing else. Those who would be mad with me already are, so let them stew a little longer. Let's try to end this by the end of the week. Maybe I'll go fake a skiing accident in a country where they don't speak English or Japanese as an excuse." Like Kakashi and Naruto would buy that bullshit, Sasuke thought. "Let's find something I can take back to prove Itachi's innocent, and we can both go home." Itachi didn't like the position he'd put his little brother in, but he nodded. Deidara looked rather serious and agreed as well. "I'm going to leave this to you two," Deidara said as he stood. "I'm an explosives tech, not an investigator. I have no idea how or where to find your daddy." Deidara left them both to ponder that question. Monday, November 9th. Now that Sasuke was a target too, and having decided to go dark, Sasuke couldn't leave the house easily either, so he was stuck inside with Itachi. Deidara had to go to work, but had put in for a week off starting the next day. He'd be late coming home tonight because he now had 3 mouths to feed and needed to stop at the supermarket before coming home. The brothers had a day together without any interruptions. They may have wanted to reminisce, but they needed to solve this case. Itachi tried to help at first, but he was in over his head when it came to professional investigation. He'd armchaired it for years, but Sasuke was focused and all business once he really started on the case. 2 days ago, it wasn't as urgent, but with the hitman, Sasuke went into full Priority 1 case mode. Luckily, I've worked 2 cold cases, Sasuke commented. I know how to work them. And that was the last thing he said to Itachi for 3 hours. Itachi had to find something else to occupy him until Sasuke took a break. After a brief lunch, Sasuke was back at it and mute again. Itachi wondered how his partner took Sasuke's silence when they worked the case. When Deidara came home and started dinner, Sasuke finished up and stretched. Fuck, I'm going cross-eyed. Deidara snickered from the kitchen. He peeked into the room. Damn, baby Uchi actually looks sexy as hell in those glasses. Sasuke promptly removed his glasses. Itachi tried to hide his smile. Even as his brother, Itachi had to agree. After dinner and small talk, Deidara went off to play with clay while Itachi did the dishes and Sasuke lingered at the table, cracking his back for the 3rd time. When was the last time you were at the cabin? Itachi asked after a prolonged silence between them. The family cabin? Sasuke asked. A very long time. We still own it though. Why? You didn't think to look there for me? Itachi smirked. You never liked being there. I didn't think you'd hide there. Besides, the FBI searched it after you ran. So you haven't been there in at least a decade? Not since our family Christmas the year before. Why? Sasuke asked again. Maybe father's using the cabin. He could be there right now, and no one would know. It's out of the way. There are no neighbors for a mile on either side, and you never travel there. It's the perfect place to hide. Sasuke thought it over quietly. He never liked the cabin, and Itachi never enjoyed spending the winter holiday there either. The lake was always frozen over when they were there, and the snow made it too quiet and lonely. The lack of creature comforts, besides the basic electricity, annoyed the 2 boys as well. He'd have been thrilled not to spend another holiday there if it hadn't come with a steep price tag. Why didn't you hide there then? Sasuke asked. I was in a hurry that night, barely thinking. I left with just the clothes on my back. It was everything I could do just to hide from the FBI. They nearly caught me twice. But you managed to get away, Sasuke pouted, slightly sore that the fugitive had slipped through the bureau's fingers, but he was more relieved now that Itachi hadn't been caught. I did, Itachi admitted. I did have a little help. We could go tonight, Sasuke said. To the cabin, he clarified. Tomorrow morning would be better, Itachi said, finishing up the sink full of dishes and pulling the stopper. Deidara doesn't have work, Itachi offered when he noticed Sasuke's frown of disapproval. He's had a long day at work and will probably drop off within the hour. Nothing will happen if we go tonight. You worry too much, Itachi. I'd rather be safe than sorry, especially if father really is staying there. He sent someone to kill us, so I'll take no chances. Not where you and Deidara are concerned. I'll protect you if something happens, Sasuke said. I'd be happier if Day was with us. He may not look it, and he certainly may not act it, but he's an excellent shot. He just prefers to play with explosives. That's an interesting boyfriend you have there, Sasuke said, shaking his head. Now that clay is C4, right? Itachi smiled and shook his head. He doesn't hide his love for pyrotechnics and explosives from me, and I only ask that he doesn't bring it into the house, and he keeps it out of our sex life. Ugh, I didn't need to hear that, Sasuke said, nose wrinkling with disgust. Day enjoys his guns almost as much, don't get me wrong, Itachi said, grimacing. He was slowly getting it. Itachi didn't like guns. It reminded him of Naruto and the Dobe's uphill campaign for stricter gun laws. Naruto would use a gun if necessary, but he'd go to extremes to avoid it if possible. He'd call Naruto a sissy for that extreme bit of caution, but he'd never use the word to describe his brother. Sasuke felt far safer with a gun in his hand and thought of them as partners rather than just weapons. He had a relationship with his guns as he did with his swords. If he was entrusting his life to something, he didn't think he could be blamed for anthropomorphizing them a bit. Do you allow him to have guns in the house? Not really my choice. It's his house, but I insist they're safely secured. But even that's pushing it, Sasuke said knowingly. Having something that could kill you around at all times was stressful even to Sasuke. Itachi agreed. I keep mine in an unimaginative location of my sock drawer, and my underwear drawer, and my pants drawer. I have a small arsenal if you include the swords and knives. Days newly acquired a second gun safe. Maybe he could show you some of them, since you seem to be a gun enthusiast. I think I'd like that. And we can wait until tomorrow to check out the cabin. I'm tired from working on the case all day. It's better get a good night's rest. Night, Tachi, Sasuke said, stifling a yawn. Good night, Ototo. He gave Sasuke a hug as he stood from the table. Itachi leaned back against the counter and watched his brother walk towards the guest bedroom with a sad expression. He was worried about his brother. Sasuke was a different person when he had a case in his hands, and Itachi didn't like the intensity and emotional shut-off Sasuke had attained. Neither Uchiha could stomach looking at the pictures of the bodies, but Sasuke had no trouble with the other crime scene photographs, putting post-its over the bodies in some of the photos, ignoring the blood and char marring the floors and furniture they had grown up around. But it wasn't just Sasuke's complete focus that worried him. He was also worried that he had taken Sasuke from someone special in his life. Someone Sasuke was avoiding talking about. Sasuke had mentioned that there were people who would be angry about his disappearance, and Itachi got the feeling he wasn't talking about his partner or boss. Sasuke needed help on the other side, and someone needed to know Sasuke was alright. Sasuke had left his phone on the side table after making sure it was totally turned off. He had muttered about wanting to take the battery out, but was too worried about damaging it to try. All day while Sasuke worked, or meditated, or whatever he was doing, when he was just sitting there in dead silence, Itachi toyed with the phone, turning it over in his hands, caressing its sleek black surface and wondering what he should do. Now Itachi sat on the sofa and pulled the phone from his pocket. He stared at the smooth screen for nearly 10 minutes, struggling with the idea of turning it on. Could the FBI really triangulate their location if the phone was on? What was the harm? This little device was a window into his brother's life. It was like a Pandora's box, taunting him. Itachi finally turned on the phone. He was a little disappointed to find the wallpaper was just an uninteresting silver background with water droplets littering it. He had hoped for something showing his brother's personality. It was probably the default that came with the phone. No apps either. Well, maybe this was the government issue. He checked the contents. Plenty of names there, but none he recognized. Some were obviously nicknames. What to do? On impulse, Itachi pressed the number 2 and hoped Sasuke put someone he trusted as the first on his speed dial and not the FBI's number. He put the phone to his ear and almost despaired at getting an answer, but also a bit relieved when suddenly Sasuke's name was shouted into his ear, making Itachi jerk the phone from his head. He chuckled, amused by the assumption. Wrong guess.
Who's this? Where's Sasuke?
The young man demanded. Itachi quickly realized that he was going to automatically be the bad guy here, and something in his perverse sense of humor emerged. He had this young man by the balls, and the power darkened his voice, and he assumed an air of mystery and dominance. It was a side of his personality he didn't use with Sasuke and only used with Deidara when he was in a very dominant mood in the bedroom. It was probably that darker side of him that put him on the FBI's radar 11 years ago. I would like to tell you that... Itachi pulled the phone away to see who had called. Dobe. But that would be counterproductive. Sasuke must think this man wasn't the brightest bulb if he nicknamed him Dobe. So Itachi was going to indulge his patronizing side.
Do what?
Dobe asked.
Everything.
Who is this?
I would like to trust you with that information, but you haven't earned it yet.
What are you talking about?
There is a reason you are the first one on Sasuke's speed dial, which proves you are the one he trusts the most. I need you to trust me.
Where is Sasuke?
He's around, alive and well, I might add.
How can I be sure?
That's where the trust comes in. I will tell you who I am if you promise to trust me. Then, if you have questions, I will consider answering them.
He's not hurt?
Dobe squeaked and then cleared his throat.
Sasuke is unharmed.
And he's...
Sasuke will return.
He will?
You have my word.
Let me talk to him.
I'm afraid I can't do that. He doesn't even know I lifted his phone. He wouldn't approve of me calling you. He seems to like doing everything himself. Can I trust you?
Yes.
I'm Itachi Uchiha.
I came back to Konoha and initiated contact with my brother.
Itachi?
Yes?
Where's Sasuke? What have you done to him?
Itachi chuckled. Such bluster. Itachi was finding this young man very amusing.
I'm trusting in you, Dobe,
Why?
because I need your help. Sasuke needs your help.
What kind of help?
Itachi chuckled again.
Do I have your trust?
We'll see when I find you and haul your ass in here for multiple murder.
You could try. By the time you catch up to us, we'll be long gone.
And you want me to trust you when you say shit like that?
Of course. And I think you'd find Sasuke rather unhelpful if you tried to bring me in.
You have it. For now.
Good. You can start by telling me your real name, though I am curious why my brother calls you Dobe.
My name is Naruto, and that is between Sasuke and me.
Naruto.
Itachi could almost taste the name, especially since he was familiar with the small fish cakes sometimes served in ramen. Such an odd name.
I like it. What if I told you I was framed for the murder of my family, Naruto?
And I would ask what proof you have.
Naruto said, his voice cracking slightly. Itachi sighed and let the persona of confidence die.
How much time do you have?
Tuesday, November 10th. Itachi didn't sleep well that night. Naruto had accepted his story for now, and he agreed to help, to make sure the FBI didn't look for Itachi and point the bureau in other directions. Itachi had also learned that Sasuke was a high-priority missing person now too. There was a full task force looking into his disappearance. Itachi wondered what he was doing. What should he be doing? Was he ruining his brother's life a second time? And why did he risk ruining Naruto's life? He looked over at the digital clock to see it was now Tuesday, almost a week since Sasuke joined them. He looked to his other side to see Deidara's golden hair glowing slightly in the dawn light. He smiled softly. They would get through this. He woke up only a few hours later, racking his brain for something to help them as he waited for the sun to rise. It was a chilly morning, and the dew clung to Sasuke's caddy as they piled into Deidara's truck. Sasuke was forced to sit between the two of them since Itachi demanded the window. "Ready for a road trip, baby Uchiha?" Deidara asked laughingly. Sasuke snarled. "Don't call me that!" Itachi snickered, hunching against the window, his dark grey hoodie pulled up to hide his face from anyone too nosy to look closely. "Where is this cabin again?" Deidara asked. "Take the I-57 north. I'll tell you what exits you need to take from there," Itachi said. "You remember where you're going? When was the last time you were there?" "I was 19. We won't get lost, Day." "Uh-huh," Deidara said doubtfully. Itachi sighed and closed his eyes. "Father would always ask if I could find my way to the cabin if he left me on the side of the road. I learned at a young age to pay attention to where I was going. I wouldn't have forgotten the way to the cabin." "He never asked me that," Sasuke said. "I think he sometimes preferred if I couldn't come back." Deidara whistled. "Your father sounds like a real winner. That's why you brought your gun," Itachi said, the disgust evident in his tone. And you left home with a Swiss Army knife. How MacGyver of you, Deidre sneered. It's a sling blade. I may not like violence, but I'm not stupid. Deidre rolled his eyes. Didn't you ever hear the saying, don't bring a knife to a gunfight? They reached the cabin by 11 a.m., without getting lost once due to Itachi's impeccable directions. It was decided on the hour-long journey that they'd park down the road and study the cabin from a safe distance before attempting any confrontation. Taking up a perch in the playground area of the campground directly across the lake, Sasuke pulled out a pair of binoculars and focused on the cabin, studying the windows for any sign of movement within. The cabin looks deserted from here, Sasuke said, handing the binoculars to Itachi. Even if Father isn't here now, it doesn't mean he wasn't here at one time. We need to search the inside. Maybe there's a clue to where he would have gone. Sasuke pulled his scarf tight around his neck. I always hated this place. If you hate it so much, why didn't you sell it? Deidra asked. Itachi and I own everything jointly. I can't sell anything unless Itachi signs off on it. Hard to do when he's missing. Had he been convicted, everything would be mine alone. Itachi sighed. Even gone, I was in your way. Itachi, Sasuke started, but what he was about to say died on his lips. There was movement along the side of the cabin. Almost imperceptible, but Sasuke's hawk eyes caught it. He reached for the binoculars, ripping them from Itachi in his haste. He trained on the exact spot he saw movement, waiting. A tall man came into focus, his back to them. Sasuke felt a chill down his spine. The man was about his father's height and build. You may have been on to something here, he said. What do you see? Deidra asked, kneeling down and withdrawing a Glock 27. An unsub, slightly above average height, lean build, no facial ID yet, Sasuke supplied. Translation? Itachi asked. Baby Uchiha means he sees a man who could be your father. Itachi sucked in a breath and released it shakily. Sasuke, he said. I can't see his face. Whatever he's doing, his back is towards me. I need a closer look for positive identification. If it is father, I can't wait to confront him. He puts us through hell, and it's about time we got answers why, Itachi muttered. I couldn't agree with you more, Sasuke said, lowering the binoculars and reaching for his SIG 9mm. He made sure there was a bullet in the chamber and slid off the safety. Deidra copied him with as much experienced ease. Deidra led the approach on foot around the lake, Itachi bringing up the rear. Despite both of their attempts, Itachi stoutly refused to take possession of a gun. Both government agents brought an extra one for Itachi. Split up? Deidra asked, kneeling behind a copse of stunted trees. I'll take the front with Itachi, you go around back. I'll take Itachi with me and we'll take the back. No, Itachi will go with me, Sasuke stated. He's going with me. I don't think so, Sasuke snorted. If it's okay with both of you, Itachi said, cutting off Deidra's reply, I'll go with Dei. If father is expecting us, he'll probably be expecting us together. He won't know about Dei. Unless those hitmen told father about your boyfriend. In which case, he'll probably be expecting me to be with you as the big brother. I want to catch him off guard. He could be unstable, Sasuke argued. He killed his family and framed you for murder. He's unpredictable.
Can we stop arguing about this already before your father gets away?
Deidra hissed, pointing to the figure moving towards an idling black Lincoln. Sasuke noted that the Lincoln was his father's usual modus operandi. Formal and traditional, everything was falling into place. All that was left was to confront their father.
Fine, Sasuke hissed, but if everything happens to Itachi, your life is forfeit. Don't think I won't follow through with that promise.
I'd like to see you try, baby Uchiha. And with that, Deidra was gone, Itachi following belatedly. Sasuke edged around the stunted trees, aiming for the front door of the cabin. It wasn't yet snowing, but it was cold and the trees had already dropped their leaves. He had to move cautiously because of the lack of cover. However, his view was just as unhindered, but the subject was out of his line of sight. Sasuke approached the door, hunched, aiming his gun at the ground. His hand gripped the doorknob tightly, the metal cold to the touch. It refused to give way. Confident the man was alone, Sasuke edged closer to the Lincoln, and the man half buried inside the back seat. Even from this distance,
Sasuke couldn't positively identify the man as his father. Before the fact the man was in the back of the car, and therefore likely not alone, could make its way all the way through Sasuke's brain, a branch snapped behind him and Sasuke swung around, leveling a pistol at the unexpected sound. He barely had time to dodge. A branch still smacked him in the head and cut a gash into his scalp. Fire alighted over his temple and he could feel blood oozing from the wound. He wasn't sure if he hit the ground or not, which may have been a bad sign or the adrenaline. Trying to focus on his unknown assailant, Sasuke let off a round, the bullet going wide and missing his target completely. His only thought at the moment was that Kakashi would be disappointed by his lack of marksmanship. A cacophony of bullets reached Sasuke's ears, and he had a moment of blind panic for Itachi's safety before he was jarred to attention, just dodging the branch aimed at his head again. He stumbled away, rolling when he couldn't regain his balance. It was not a favorable position to be in, on his knees with an assailant ready to brain him. Unwavering, Sasuke used his gun, catching the man in the shoulder. It had the desired effect. The man dropped the wood and gripped his shoulder, his hand coming away stained in crimson. Taking full advantage of his assailant's preoccupation, Sasuke fired a bullet into his gut. At least, that was where he was aiming. A hand reached out from behind him and hauled him away. Sasuke entertained the notion of sinking another bullet into the unknown hand, until he recognized Itachi, pale and sickly looking, leaves and twigs stuck in his hair. "What's wrong?" Sasuke gasped, launching to his feet. He wasn't so out of it to be wondering why Itachi was pulling him away, but he wasn't used to seeing a partner looking so pale and ruffled, even in a gunfight. Itachi didn't answer, just dragged Sasuke along. He met up with Deidara, covering them until they entered the woods. Deidara and an unwounded man exchanged a few shots. Once in the trees, Deidara just ran, the gunman's shots having little chance of hitting them among the trunks. It was a relief that they found Deidara's truck and jumped in, speeding away without pursuit. Sasuke had trouble shutting the door as Deidara's truck drove over the bumpy terrain. A bullet hit the tailgate as they drove off. Deidara cursed, but they were soon back on the road and in the clear. "Anyone shot?" Deidara asked. "I'm fine," Itachi said, his voice shaking. "I wasn't shot," Sasuke said, but his voice didn't sound right. "You're bleeding, baby Uchiha," Deidara said, his eyes moving from the road to look Sasuke over and back to the road again. "It looks worse than it is. It just bleeds like a mother..." Sasuke growled. "We need bandages and antiseptic. Hell, you probably need a doctor," Itachi said, panicking. "I'm fine. We're gonna hit pharmacy when we get back to town." "You sure?" Deidara asked, unconvinced. "I'm sure," Sasuke snapped. Deidara shifted lanes, aiming for the nearest exit. Not that exit, Sasuke and Itachi said in unison. Deidara swerved back onto the freeway. "Why not that exit?" Deidara demanded, flipping off the drivers who laid into their horns, cursing. "We went south, not west. The town is far down that road. It would take us an hour out of our way," Itachi said. "Just get back to town. I can wait until then," Sasuke said, leaning his head back against the back of his seat. "Don't fall asleep," Itachi warned. "You could have a concussion." "That's a possibility. Probably even." Sasuke closed his eyes momentarily, the adrenaline high seeping rapidly from his veins, making him unbelievably exhausted. "My right ear is ringing, and I certainly saw stars." He sighed. Kakashi would be pissed if he fell asleep with a concussion. Sasuke's eyes snapped open and he sat straighter in his seat, eyes scanning the freeway behind him. He was sure they wouldn't be followed, but his FBI training kicked in and he scanned for any sign of trail. "We haven't been followed," Deidara said. "I've been watching." "What happened back there?" Sasuke asked, relaxing into his seat. "That's what I want to know," Itachi said, looking at his brother. "I was blindsided. He came out of nowhere and nearly brained me. I shot at him. Then I heard gunshots behind me." "I heard gunfire. Guess that was you," Deidara said. "So did the man in the Lincoln. He started for you with a gun as we came around the back. I took a shot at him. He seemed ready for me though, because he didn't hesitate to return fire in my direction. I forced Itachi to the ground and returned fire." "That explains the leaves and twigs stuck in his hair," Sasuke thought. He reached up and plucked a sun-dried leaf from Itachi's hair. "So unlike you to be unkempt," he said, chuckling slightly. "I was worried about you," Itachi said, brushing his hair over his shoulder and promptly forgetting about the tangled mess. I didn't hear the second guy. Not until a twig snapped. Kinda makes me want to change my opinion on nature. It saved my ass today, Sasuke mused. Did you recognize who your house guests were? Deidara asked. Our hitman, Sasuke said. The man I shot was the blonde who shot at us at the townhouse. Father was definitely expecting us to visit the cabin, and he was prepared. I admit the hitman didn't cross my mind. I saw the Lincoln and figured it was Father. It would be something he drove. I was fooled by the Lincoln as well, Itachi admitted. I'm sorry I dragged us out here and nearly got us killed. I didn't think Father would send hitmen after us again. Not after their failed first attempt. God, I was so stupid. I don't blame you. He's our father, and you don't naturally expect a parent to try to kill you. But you thought it, Itachi said, his voice fading and cracking. You were prepared for a firefight. I've been trained to expect anything. You wouldn't believe what I've seen working at the Bureau. You couldn't have wanted to join the FBI when you were younger. I didn't know what I wanted to be. I knew you would inherit the company as the oldest. You were good at your job, and I wasn't about to interfere with that. We could have both headed the company, co-CEOs or something. Father wouldn't have approved. I wouldn't have had the significant position in the company while he was alive. He always hated me, Sasuke muttered. He didn't hate you, Itachi said. I was the unwanted child, the expendable son. Father only wanted one son. Uncle Madara said as much. I may have been accepted if I had been a daughter instead, get married off for some profit. You were set to inherit everything after my falling out with Father. You were the new hope for the future of the Uchiha. Sasuke snorted. Father would have been doubly disappointed if I had the courage to tell him back then that I had no inkling to touch a female in any way. Sasuke shuddered at the thought. And you are reconciling. I wasn't even going to have control of the company. He had given it to Obito over me if you were unavailable. I know he loved you, Itachi said quietly, almost as if he was trying to reassure himself of his father's own love for him. Only you think so, Sasuke said. Today sort of makes that unlikely. The hitman didn't shoot you. He used a piece of wood. Maybe you're not supposed to die. No, he was trying to bash my skull in. They must have dropped their guard and it was the nearest thing to hand. Maybe he was taking a leak. Doesn't really matter. Take this exit, Day, Itachi said, before devolving into silence. Deidara pulled up outside a pharmacy, to the relief of everybody in the truck. Sasuke's scalp was still bleeding, but it was minimal compared to when it was fresh. I'll be back. Stay in the truck, Deidara said, exiting in record time. What's his problem? Sasuke asked, resting his head against the headrest again. It can't be the sight of blood. Day doesn't appreciate a quiet atmosphere. He loves to talk. A lot. Must be a blunt trait, Sasuke muttered, instantly reminded of Naruto and how loud the idiot could be at all hours of the day, whether it be 3 a.m. or 3 p.m. What was that? Itachi asked, missing Sasuke's comment. Nothing, Sasuke said, shaking his head, immediately regretting it. Itachi sighed. I'm going to get some fresh air. Let me out. Not used to the sight of blood, Aniki? Even though he teased his brother, Sasuke was feeling ill from the smell of his own blood and the stuffiness from the heater. He could use some fresh air too. Sasuke opened the door and slid out of the truck without waiting for a response. He balanced himself against the side. He was beginning to feel woozy and the nausea was taking seat. He just wanted to lie down and rest, but he knew there was a long night ahead of him before he could safely lay his head to a pillow. Sasuke gave a cursory glance around the area, moving away to allow Itachi down. Pull your hoodie up, Sasuke said, then froze. He was staring straight into the eyes of an FBI agent, and they were staring back. No, they were staring at Itachi fiddling with the strings of his hoodie. Sasuke's stomach dropped. Back inside, he hissed, struggling to stay calm. Sasuke's tone warned Itachi that something was wrong. Very wrong, by the way Sasuke was jabbing him with his elbow. Now! Okay, Itachi said, climbing back into the truck calmly. Better to act calmly instead of hastily. A guilty response in law enforcement's eyes. Sasuke launched himself up into the truck's cabin and shut the door a little too forcefully. Data was just coming out of the store and did the same on his side. Drive, Sasuke ordered. Huh? Drive! Okay! Data put his foot on the accelerator. Can you tell me what the hell's going on? I was gone for 5 minutes. Itachi was seen by an FBI agent. That's what the hell is going on. What? Itachi and Data exclaimed. Data jerked the wheel, the truck barreling over the center line and towards an oncoming semi. Data righted himself, merging back into his lane, but not without the semi's driver laying into his horn, right hand flailing as the semi sailed by. Are you trying to get us killed? Sasuke demanded. I think I should be asking you that instead, Data roared. You tell me Itachi's been seen by an agent, and you don't expect me to react. How the hell was he seen? I told you to stay in the truck. It doesn't matter, just drive, Sasuke ordered, looking into the side view mirror. Are we being followed? Itachi asked, his heart fluttering maddeningly in his chest and his stomach in knots. I don't see a tail, Data said, gazing out his rear view mirror. Then they probably didn't see me, Itachi said hopefully, despite his thundering heart. He looked straight at you, Sasuke said, his voice sounding shrill in the small space. That doesn't mean Itachi was recognized, baby Uchiha. No one is following us. Don't go back to the cottage, Sasuke said, stopping Data from taking the turn that would lead them directly to his house. Sasuke, Itachi started. I don't want to take chances. They could have easily taken down the license plate number and at this very moment awaiting us at the cottage. That's some imagination you've got there, baby Uchiha. Sasuke shook his head, regretting it again. I've done that exact thing once before with a dangerous fugitive. We let him think he got away while we ran the plates on his car and got an address. We were waiting for him when he finally returned home. Who was the agent who saw me? Itachi asked. Konohamaru Sarutobi. And if he was an FBI agent worth his salt, he'll have identified you and wisely held back for backup. Your wanted poster is plastered all over HQ with the highest security rating we can give a fugitive. I'm honored, Itachi said humorlessly. Can we ditch the truck? Sasuke asked, ignoring Itachi's remark. You can't be serious! Data exclaimed. I'm always serious. Ditch the truck! No one is following us! Data argued. Didn't I just say they don't have to be following us to know where we're going? They'll already know who I am then, so why do I have to ditch my truck? Now they'll be looking for this truck! If we want to be able to move around, we'll need another vehicle. We'll also need a place to lay low for a night or two. Anyway, you can say it was stolen. Security cameras at the store. Data wisely left out the idiot part. Day, Itachi said, cutting off the fight. Go to Kisame's. What? No! Itachi stared at the side of Data's head, who refused to look in Itachi's direction. It didn't take long for Data to capitulate. Why him? Data demanded. He believes you're guilty. He's never turned me in. I don't care. I don't like him. You don't like him because he wants in my pants, Itachi said. He doesn't understand the word taken. Kisame won't turn me in. He won't go against Nagato. Would you prefer me to call Nagato instead? Itachi asked calmly. No, Data huffed. But I don't like this one bit. If I'm arrested, I'm throwing you both under the bus. Itachi smiled, knowing he'd won. He always won, naturally. And despite Data's threats, they were empty. Data never followed through, even when things went south. That's one of the things Itachi loved about him. Sasuke, let's switch positions so I can bandage your head. Sasuke started to nod, but stopped when it hurt. Sasuke crawled over his brother as he slid under him so Itachi was against the window. He took the bag and started to tend to his brother's injury. Kisame slid out from beneath a blue Bronco as Data revved his truck's engine and sought Kisame's rental. Grabbing a rag, he cleaned his hands of excess grease and approached the truck, leaning against the passenger's side. Well, if it isn't my favorite little reprobate, Kisame said, smiling and showcasing a row of sharply filed teeth. Change your mind about shacking up with this loser? You know my bed is always available. And warm. I haven't changed my mind, Itachi said smoothly. You're a loss, Kisame said, never losing his smile. What did you need? A new truck. Kisame scratched at the stubble on his jaw. A new truck, eh? It'll cost you. You know we're good for the money. What if I don't want money? Kisame leered. What if I want something else entirely? That would be prostitution. It's illegal, Sasuke said, peering around his brother. Itachi knows all about illegal, don't you, my lovely reprobate? Kisame said.
I can't help you with that, Kisame,
Itachi muttered. What about your little doppelganger here? Kisame waggled his eyebrows suggestively at Sasuke. Sasuke swallowed and choked up. Taken. Pity, Kisame said, his smile slipping into a disappointed frown. Isn't it? Deidara sneered, clutching the steering wheel in a death grip and blanching his knuckles. I have a slightly used truck, 1-year-old, not even 10,000 miles on it yet. Cherry red, pimping stereo. It's a sweet ride. $12,000 only. Trade-in value? Sasuke asked. This truck isn't worth $1,000, Kisame said, sneering. Deidara growled. You can do better than that. This truck is worth 3,000 easy. It's well maintained, Sasuke said. The mileage, Kisame pointed out, isn't as high as one would expect for this year and model. Sasuke lay on his best poker face, the one that said he wasn't budging because he made a valid point and anything less would be a highway robbery. Itachi didn't miss the fact that neither of them had even looked at the odometer. Kisame laughed. I like you. Okay, $9,000 it is. How do you plan to pay, my lovely reprobate?
Send the invoice to Nagato, Itachi said. We also need a place to stay for a night or two.
Well, I only have so many beds.
Kisame,
Itachi reproached. Come on, Itachi, I have to try with a fine piece of ass like you. I am keeping quiet.
So is Nagato and Yahiko, and Konan.
Kisame almost pouted. It seemed to Sasuke that Itachi and Kisame both had each other by the balls. It just mattered who had the stronger grip. Kisame wasn't completely on the up and up either, which is to be expected of someone who kept quiet about a masked murderer. Fine. Kisame took out his keys and shimmied out the house key from the rest. I only have one spare bedroom and the sofa. Mikasa Sukasa.
Thanks,
Itachi said with a winning smile. Kisame opened the door and helped Itachi down from the old Ford. Deidara slipped out of the driver's side and Sasuke ungracefully slid out behind Itachi. He caught himself before he collapsed. He was dizzier once he was upright. Itachi grabbed him.
Sasuke?
Dizzy. The kid should see a doctor, Kisame said. He couldn't miss the bandage on his head or the blood on the shirt under Sasuke's coat. The fact Sasuke didn't rise to being called a kid concerned Itachi.
Know anyone we can trust?
Kisame chuckled. I know all kinds, babe. I'll set you up with your new truck and give you an address.
Take the plates of this one,
Sasuke managed to say, keeping a hand close to his mouth to keep himself from vomiting.
Wasn't betrayed.
Got it, kid. The term held more respect than mock. An hour later, Deidara was driving one of the best trucks he'd ever owned and loathing every minute of it. Sasuke was doing all right sitting in the back of the new, larger truck next to his brother. They arrived at the address Kisame had given them and got out. Itachi was making sure the hood shadowed his face in the afternoon light. Sasuke kept a hand on Itachi's arm to steady himself. He looked up to see where they were, and Sasuke was certain he suffered brain damage. Veterinary hospital? Hurry, Itachi insisted, gently pulling Sasuke back into motion. Deidara went ahead to talk to the receptionist. Sasuke thought he heard something about a kitten being hit in the head, but he couldn't trust his ears at the moment. They were quickly taken to an exam room. Itachi sat Sasuke down on a smaller than a normal exam bed, and Sasuke looked from poster to poster. Yup, this was a veterinary clinic. Either he was truly gone, or someone, Kisame, was making fun of him. The doctor came in. Friends of Kisame? Yes, Itachi said, still keeping his face hidden. I'm Dr. Kiba Inuzuka. So what happened? Something about an injured kitten? Sasuke growled and Deidara giggled. Someone hit our precious kitten here in the head with a branch, Deidara explained. He's dizzy, nauseous, seeing stars, and is paranoid.
The paranoia is not from the branch, Itachi said.
Both of you, fuck off, Sasuke said. Kiba shined a light in each of Sasuke's eyes and checked the wound. He checked the rest of Sasuke's head and took his temperature and blood pressure.
Pupils are equal and they dilate normally. Have you vomited?
Tempted, but no.
Close your eyes for 3 seconds and open them. Any stars or anything abnormal?
No, it just makes me feel a little dizzy.
Mild concussion and blood loss. You have a second bump on the head.
He rubbed it lightly, making Sasuke wince away.
Maybe from where you fell from the first hit. You're in no danger now, but if you vomit, start to feel weak on one side of your body, pass out, have a seizure, or your speech is slurred, the hell with any other concerns. Get to the hospital. But I think you'll be fine. Lots of fluids for the blood loss. Acetaminophen for the pain. No aspirin. Ice both bumps and stay with him for full 24 hours to be sure he doesn't get worse. He can sleep, but you should wake him up periodically. Make sure he does wake up. Make sure he eats and can keep it down before you allow him to sleep. Should eat something bready. Helps with the nausea and he can use the carbs to compensate for blood loss.
No offense, but you're a vet, Sasuke said.
I used to be a real doctor, but my license was revoked when I failed to report a few gunshot wounds. I like animals more anyway.
Thank you, Dr. Inuzuka, Hitachi said and shook his hand, palming several hundreds.
Not a problem. Remember, he gets worse, you take him to a hospital.
I will. Deidara was tense as they drove toward Kisame's home. Thank you for everything, Dei, Itachi said softly, rubbing his palm over Deidara's elbow. I know you love that truck, and we're potentially getting you in a lot of trouble. Deidara softened, smiling warmly at his lover. Anything for you. They pulled up to a cookie-cutter house out in the middle of the suburbs that looked like the last place a man like Kisame would live. Deidara killed the engine and grabbed his keys, leaning in to kiss Itachi. What was that for? Itachi asked, smiling nonetheless. 'Cause I love you. I love you too, Itachi said, kissing back.
Ugh, get a room, Sasuke said from the back seat, exiting the truck as if it was on fire. He only had to keep a hand on the door to keep his balance. He was feeling much better after a handful of painkillers. Itachi had the key and opened the door. Once inside with the lights on, Sasuke understood why Kisame had filed teeth. He loved sharks. Shark teeth, shark jaws, painting of sharks, an aquarium with small sharks, a bookshelf filled with books on sharks. Deidara looked like a rabbit in a fox den as they stepped inside. So tired, Sasuke mumbled in Japanese. Deidara looked at him like he'd just grown grotesque wings. Soon, Ototo. Stay awake just a little longer, Itachi also said in Japanese. He turned to Deidara. Bilingual household. He turned back to his brother and continued in English. You should eat something, Sasuke.
I'm hungry too,
Deidara argued. Itachi smiled warmly at his often juvenile lover. Let's eat and get settled. They raided the kitchen. Sasuke's appetite was hearty and he kept it down. They moved to the living room, which could double as a shark museum. They began talking about what happened that day, but they were interrupted with a ringtone Sasuke had not heard before. Itachi froze and carefully reached in his pocket for his own phone. He cringed and he accepted the call and put it to his ear. Hello? Crisp and clear, even to Sasuke, a deep voice came over the line.
What happened?
Yahiko, I'm fine. We're just being cautious. I might have been seen in Deidara's truck, so we thought we should use one not registered to him for a while. The money's not a problem, is it?
No. I want you to be careful. Another slip and I will fetch you myself.
I understand.
Are you close to resolving this matter?
Maybe. It's hard to say.
What about your brother?
We've reconciled. Itachi smiled at his brother, fully aware that Yahiko's precise voice was audible to Sasuke and Deidara.
Good. Keep Deidara in line.
What? I'm not the one who was saved by the FBI.
Goodbye, Itachi.
Itachi sighed once the call ended. My boss and one of the people who've been hiding me all this time, he explained. I'm glad she has such protective friends. Fatigue and his head injury were catching up to Sasuke. He laid back and closed his eyes. With a sudden fright, Sasuke stood up and stretched. What time is it? Itachi looked on his phone.
It's 7:30.
When's Shark Boy off work?
The place closes at 8.
Itachi gave Deidara a long sideways glance and reached for his pocket. Deidara gave a curt nod in answer and pounced on Sasuke, thumping his shoulder and turning him away from Itachi with a smirk. That was Itachi's normal signal for "I need privacy for a call." Itachi often made calls Deidara wasn't allowed to hear, and assumed Itachi needed to call Yahiko back, or Nagato. "Let's get you settled, baby Uchiha. How do you like sleeping on the floor?" "Get away from me!" Sasuke growled and forced the blonde's hand off his body, suppressing a disgusted shiver. "And stop calling me baby already! After what you did in the truck, I'm not sure I trust you two in bed together when I'm in the same room. Itachi and I will take the bed. You get the floor, Pyro!" Itachi watched his brother retreat and pulled out Sasuke's phone, then hit number 2 on the keypad. He exhaled.
We have a problem,
Itachi remarked, not even waiting to hear the other's voice.
What happened?
Sasuke happened. I happened.
What's going on?
We were seen by someone you work with.
I haven't heard anything about a fugitive sighting.
Sasuke is certain an agent saw me.
Who was it Sasuke thinks it was?
Konohamaru, I think he said. I can have them find us now.
Everyone's out looking for him, you know this.
Naruto breathed into the phone.
You need to be more careful.
I think I'm close.
You still suspect your own...
Could there be anyone else?
Itachi cut him off.
I don't see how he could fake his own death.
Not hard when there's no body. How close are you to finding Sasuke? Do I have time?
I can distract him as long as you need. We have no leads, but you're a popular suspect. Kakashi's not been concentrating on you, though, so that's a plus for you. There was this one case. Sasuke had a run-in with a man. We could pull him in and question him. The guy has ties to some shady weapons dealer, and he attempted to bitch slap Sasuke. It wouldn't be a stretch that he would have gone after Sasuke in retribution for his interference.
How soon can you have him pulled in for questioning?
A day, maybe.
Stop calling me that! God, you can be annoying! Sasuke's voice reached the phone.
Was that Sasuke?
Naruto asked hopefully, but in a whisper. It was. My friend is very capable at irritating him.
Your friend must have balls to annoy him.
I can confirm he does indeed have balls. There. At least you know Sasuke is safe.
I feel better about this all now.
Good night, Naruto.
Good night. Make sure he's safe.
I will.
Itachi ended the call and shut off the phone, feeling a little guilty since Sasuke had been given a concussion today because of him. He almost told Naruto about the hitman, but he knew if he admitted to Naruto that he and Sasuke were in mortal danger from 2 professional killers, Naruto would not sit idly by. He'd send all of the FBI after them and sort out the mess later. Right now, Itachi was just happy he had friends like Kisame. He put both phones back in his pocket and took out his knife. Sasuke and Deidara were right. He was foolish. What was he really expecting when they found Fukaku? 2 hitmen and Fukaku was just going to talk and surrender? Itachi was just putting 2 people he loved the most in danger. Itachi pocketed the knife and sighed. He fell asleep in the armchair. Itachi awoke with the feeling of someone's face nuzzling his crotch. It felt good. He loved Deidara. He smiled thinking about how wrong it was to do this with Sasuke nearby. He moaned. That's the type of sound I was expecting from you, kitten. Itachi's eyes snapped open. That was not Deidara. He looked down to see Kisame's head between his, luckily clothed, legs. Itachi kicked Kisame in the chest. The man fell back laughing. The gruff laughter drew out Sasuke and Deidara. Itachi crossed his arms and legs. You lech. Come on, Itachi, I'm in a dry spell. You are the best I ever had. At that moment, Kisame remembered why he believed Itachi really did kill his entire family. It was that glare. That fight they had. The reason they broke up. Kisame put his hands up. I'm sorry, baby. I'm sorry. Just teasing you. Sasuke tilted his head. That was weird. Kisame was definitely a criminal and a huge man, but Itachi's glare put the fear of God in him. Kisame was really frightened. Take my bed. I'll sleep out here. It's only 10. Itachi stopped glaring and he relaxed, yet his voice was still hard and commanding. I'm comfortable here. Sasuke, how we will know if when or if it's safe to go back to the cottage? Not sure. We'll worry about it in the morning. I'm pretty sure I'm fine. I woke up easily enough. We'll figure out things out in the morning. Sasuke went back to the spare bedroom, wondering how his gun-fearing older brother could be so fearsome to someone like Kisame. Yet, the fact Itachi feared guns so much told Sasuke there was no way he could have shot anyone. Itachi was innocent. He just inherited the Uchiha death glare. End of chapter 4. Stay tuned.